Allie, it is so awesome to have you here on the podcast. We have been looking forward to chatting with you. Welcome, welcome.
Thanks, and I'm really honored to be here.
So, one thing that we wanted to talk about with you today is that before you joined Balance, you had this challenge with your son and bedtime. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my son is 11 years old, and bedtime just never ended. It would be an hour and a half after it was supposed to be bedtime. There's always this, and then that, and then this, and then that. And then I wasn't going to bed till like 11 o'clock, 12 by the time I wrap everything up. So I was exhausted the next day, and it just began a very vicious cycle of me always being tired. I also have a 2-year-old who, well, at that point was 1, so she was still waking up lots in the middle of the night. So it was like very little sleep.
Exhausting. That is. And sleep
Very.
is like the thing that I know messes me up if I don't get it. It messes so many people up. And this sleep issue, it affected your day-to-day life too, because I see you every morning in Balance for body doubling. And you mentioned that the only reason you're able to do body doubling is because now you were able to solve the sleep issue.
So what I started to do is, as I was taking the course, I started to realize that it wasn't my job to make my son go to bed. So I started to create boundaries, not so much a stricter routine, but just a, hey, I'm going to go to bed at 9. If you're not there, I'm not tucking you in. And because he still wants me to tuck him in, he was good. He started to go to bed and be there by 9 and ready. And so then I could tuck him in before I go to bed because it only took, I think, twice where I didn't tuck him in for him to start.
That like it's so interesting because we're doing a theme throughout these interviews because Amanda also had a boundary thing about, it's not telling somebody you have to be in bed. It's more telling
Hmm.
what you're going to do if that bedtime doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah, the
interesting to
whole,
see that shift.
yes, right. And so that's what it came to as like my boundaries, this is what I'm going to do, not what you're going to do.
Yeah. And you have an interesting story too about your turning point when you decided you needed balance because you didn't think you needed balance. You came in on one of our free
No.
trials and then when you started going through the program something happened for you.
So because I knew I only had 30 days, I really was, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do as much of the course as I can within that 30 days. And so I think within the first 30 days, I did the first 2 phases. And I was like, okay, I actually do need this, and I can already see how it's benefiting me and my family. So it was really, yeah, the free trial was
What do,
really great because now I'm in.
what do you think were like the biggest turning points in the program for you where you're like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I do need this."
I think in the earlier lessons when you guys talked briefly about boundaries with the whole, it's not what your boundaries isn't making the person do it. It's what you're going to do as a result. I think that was the biggest aha for me. But also just realizing that, so I have a very helpful family. I've always pictured my husband is really great with that kind of stuff, but I never realized how overwhelmed I felt because I never realized how much of the mental load fell on me. So when we were talking about all that kind of stuff, I was like, that's why I feel this way all the time. And then there's practical steps on
Hmm.
how to get out of those ruts, which has been phenomenal.
Yeah, that mental load, like we don't realize that as moms, how much we do take on and how much is on our plate. So like how do things look like for you now? Because you're in the middle of the program. You haven't quite finished yet. Is that correct?
No, I'm in phase 5 now. So I'm on the
You're in
last
phase
part.
5. Yeah, you're in phase 5. You're on the last part.
Yes.
So how do things look different
Yes.
for you now compared to before you started balance?
I feel like I'm a lot more, I don't get phased by my kids as easily. That's the biggest thing is, again, it's not my responsibility to, if my 2-year-old is having a temper tantrum, I don't need to make her calm down. I just can sit there with her through the emotions and help her calm down. If my son is having a hard time, it's not my responsibility to make him do this schoolwork. I can be there as like a, hey, do you need help? But I don't need, it's not my responsibility for it to get done. And even with my husband, we talk a lot more. The other day, we're in the middle of moving, and I can feel myself being a little bit snappish. And my husband said something, and I flew off on him and realized in the middle of the conversation exactly what the emotions were that I was feeling about the bigger emotions. I was like, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I know
Hmm.
I'm feeling like My everything that I've done has been negated because of this one comment. I know that's not what you meant, but it makes me feel isolated. And so because I was able to verbalize it, we were able to stop right there without it escalating, get back to neutral, and make a plan that both of us worked with.
That's a huge thing. Stopping without it escalating and noticing those emotions.
Hmm.
So, like, it just
Yeah.
makes me feel so proud of you, Allie, that you were able to put those in place because it is a huge communication tool and so beneficial to relationships when we're able to notice our emotions and then take the action steps we need to calm down and communicate those to a partner. And what would you say to another mom who used to feel like you did before balance, where she doesn't quite realize how much she's holding on to, and she's overwhelmed and not quite sure what to do about it?
I think to the community is amazing. The bodybuilding group has been great. I miss it when I was on holidays. But even just the Mighty Network, if you have any questions, there's so many people who answer them, and you never feel like what you're saying is going out into nothing. Somebody always is there to not necessarily give a suggestion, but just to like be there with you. And what's the harm in trying? Really, you don't know what you don't know.
True. You don't know what you don't know. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Allie, for coming on. And I will see you tomorrow morning in body doubling.
You bet. You're welcome.